The rebuilding of the Third Temple. For centuries, Jewish tradition has held that a third temple will be built on the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, the same site where Solomon's temple and Herod's temple once stood. In recent years, the Temple Institute in Jerusalem has completed architectural blueprints, crafted ritual vessels, and trained a new generation of priests specifically for temple service. What makes 2026 significant is the increasing political pressure and religious movement surrounding this site. The Book of Daniel and the Book of Revelation both describe a functioning temple during the end times, and for the first time in modern history, the infrastructure, the funding, and the political conversation are all moving in the same direction. The rise of a global government structure. The prophet Daniel described a final world empire, a system of governance that would consolidate authority over nations in a way the world had never seen before. What is unfolding in 2026 is not a single dramatic announcement, but a gradual tightening of international frameworks, digital identity systems, centralized financial monitoring, and coordinated global policy responses to climate, health, and security. The World Economic Forum and United Nations have both accelerated agendas that many scholars of biblical prophecy point to as the structural groundwork for what Daniel called the fourth beast. Earthquakes and natural disasters in diverse places. Jesus, in the Olivet Discourse recorded in Matthew chapter 24, listed earthquakes in diverse places as one of the signs preceding the end of the age. He described these not as the end itself, but as the beginning of birth pains. The data from recent years shows a measurable increase in the frequency and geographic spread of significant seismic events. In 2026, major earthquakes have continued to strike regions not historically known for seismic activity.
The drying of the Euphrates River. Revelation chapter 16 describes the sixth bowl judgment as the drying up of the great river Euphrates to prepare the way for kings from the east. For most of history, this read as symbolic or purely supernatural. But in 2026, the Euphrates is at historically low water levels due to upstream damming in Turkey, prolonged drought, and regional water mismanagement. Iraq, which depends on the river, has publicly declared a water crisis.
The mark of the beast technology. Revelation chapter 13 describes a system in which no one can buy or sell without receiving a specific mark linked to allegiance to a global authority. In 2026, the technology that would make such a system operationally possible is not theoretical, it exists. Implantable microchips approved for human use, biometric payment systems, digital wallets tied to national identity, and programmable central bank digital currencies are all in active development or deployment across multiple countries. The return of Jewish people to Israel. The prophet Isaiah declared that God would bring his people back to their land a second time, and Ezekiel described valleys of dry bones coming to life as a picture of national restoration for Israel. The modern state of Israel, established in 1948, represents the largest ingathering of Jewish people to their ancestral land in history. In 2026, that process continues as Jewish communities from France, Ukraine, and elsewhere make Aliyah in significant numbers. What makes this prophetically distinct is not just the return itself, but the fact that Israel now functions as a sovereign nation with its own military, currency, and government, the exact conditions the prophets described as preceding the final events of history.